Hello and welcome. This is going to be the Daily Dharma. My name's Dina. Thank you so much for joining. So today I want to take a little bit of a side path here and update those who are interested in some astrology on the planetary motions at this time. Now, if you're not into astrology, feel free to fast forward into where you can see that I'm facing and reading some cards for you if that's what you prefer. So we're going to talk a little bit. I've got a lot coming out and some intense energies in the pre-shuffle, but I want to start out with some astrology, like I said. So right now, at the time of this recording, you can be watching this reading as a timeless reading, of course, but at the time of this reading, we're just about to hit that last lunation. That next new moon comes up on March 10th, 2024, and that is the last new moon before the springtime eclipses, spring in the northern hemisphere. So it gives a little bit of a variation on the energy depending on where you're at in time, space, and in the world. So in the northern hemisphere, this is the progression into springtime. And so there's a couple of things that I'm noticing about this year, the year of the lunar year of the dragon. And both the spring and fall eclipses are going to be a series of two. So there's usually either 2 or 3 lunations. It can go solar, lunar, solar, lunar, solar, lunar, or some variation of the two. So it's either in a set of 2 or set of 3. Both these in 2024 are a set of 2, and they both are starting with a lunar eclipse and then the second one being the solar eclipse. That's significant because the lunar eclipse is where we must release and our emotional centers give rise to something that needs to shift or come into our awareness, and for healing primarily. The new moon eclipse is about the awakening of the energies, the forward thrust. So the two together are release to receive your new beginning. So we keep talking quite a bit in the evolving daily Dharma energies about bringing some type of vision into fruition. And that manifestation process doesn't need to be anything too profound. For many of us, it's just self-evolution and self-development. But many of us are sensing and witnessing things within the self, mirrored in the external environment. And then the way that we navigate those energies helps us to create sense of relevance and resolution for whatever process is going on internally for us and in our world. So in essence, it's what we're here for. What are each of us here to do, to be, to become, to create some sense of friction for self and other that promotes momentum and upwardly mobile, progressive energies, especially with Pluto's transit into Aquarius. This year it will be Pluto will hit one more retrograde and then its final ingress into Aquarius. And in this mortal lifetime, this will be the last transit each of us will see because Pluto's so slow moving. It won't come back around into that sign of Capricorn where it's leaving now to move into Aquarius during our earthly lifetime. So Aquarius is a sign all about progression and innovation, and it is healing. It's the water bearer for a reason. It's an air sign that bears water. So it's the ability to make sense of of the psychic and emotional waters of consciousness and being able to evolve those matters and create personal relevance. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, besides just the eclipses and the broad meaning for our year, I also want to look a bit at Mercury, because Mercury is quite busy right now. And those of you that are familiar with astrology at any level will have heard about Mercury retrograde. A lot of people fear Mercury retrograde, and Mercury can become the scapegoat. Oh, my computer isn't working, my phone isn't working, and all of a sudden my emails are not coming through, or somebody didn't get the attachment. There's all these snafus, crazy traffic jam, and we are late for appointments. So a lot of people will give that advice of leaving extra time for travel, because all of these matters are things that Mercury is said to preside over. So Hermes, that messenger god, rules movement, motion, progress in that way, communication on all levels, whether it's spirit to self, earth to self, earth to self. That reminds me of just kind of grounding, the need to ground our psychic energies into our earthly vessel. And that came out quite a bit in yesterday's reading, where it was talking about the mind body spirit connection and how the body can often be a very clear and ever present reminder of things that are working or not working. So many people esteem themselves in regards to their physicality on whatever level, or others' judgments, and also health and our well-being, whether that's an energetic environmental issue or a nutritional deficit or overabundance, overindulgence. Something is speaking through the body. It can come through aches, pains, illness, dis-ease, cognitive dissonance. All of these things are those somewhat magical tools that the universe has to communicate with us. And Mercury retrograde comes around to stall a bit of progress for a moment, so that we can give our attention in a new way, or so that we can develop a new approach or something else, or so that we can learn to listen to spontaneous insights without questioning, and learn which are fears and which are guidance, such as, why am I having the urge to take a left today? I'm late. I don't have time to take the long route. But in that example, sometimes, especially during Mercury retrograde, but in any lesson of listening to our psychic senses, there's generally something that is either avoided by taking that longer route, which quickens our eventual timing, or it's some type of a detour that puts us into a unique position to receive of something. When we release the judgment of, well, that doesn't make sense, but the body and the intuition is pulling, when we follow the guidance, that spontaneously open heart space is responding to magnetism on a very powerful instinctual gut level. And when we go that way, we might unlock an opportunity that otherwise we would have surpassed or blown right past, not giving the time to, or not even witnessing on some level. So Mercury also is, as I say, going through the retrograde phase. And the basics on that, if you haven't heard them yet, or if you need the little review here, I've got them all written down. Mercury is going to be hitting the stationing for its retrograde. That means kind of the apparent motion stalls, and then as the orbits surpass each other, then Mercury appears to be going backwards. We can go into the details of that in another forecast if you're trying to learn some astrology. In the interest of time, though, that stationary Mercury stations on April 1st and moves in that apparent backward motion until the 25th of April. So that entire time, Mercury will be in Aries, the sign of Aries. And Mercury will traverse from about the 16th degree all the way to the 27th degree. And since we have the North Node and the Centaur Chiron element in that area of the sky right now, right about now, the nodes are right between the 15th, 16th degree. And Chiron right now is right between the 17th and 18th degree. So as Mercury goes on its apparent back and forth motion, we'll see on the first pass, he's moving super fast. He, she, androgynous Mercury moves fully through beyond both the North Node and Chiron. Then on its second pass, moves all the way back into back to the 16th degree approximately. So it's going to be passing over Chiron 3 times and not quite passing over the North Node each one of those times. Mercury will be within about 30 minutes, as they say in astrology, of crossing back to that North Node threshold. So it's like we might feel that we're encountering levels of healing that we've already surpassed. And I would suppose that most of us probably have done quite a bit of surpassing that. And in fact, I've written that down over here as where Mercury does those passes. It's healing the healer within ourselves, that highest possible potentiality that we represent in this body, space, and time is being highly activated through all of these circumstances and redirections for a very divine and intense revealing path. It's opening up in front of us. And so I wrote down that this is sort of destiny calling, like literally on the phone, perhaps. So maybe you've received a phone call or will be receiving a phone call. This is just reminding me of something I thought it was going to be a sales presentation, but it was another local emerging business that found my information and called me to ask if they could refer people to me for things they don't do. And did I do what they did? Because maybe we could also do the cooperative referrals. I like this type of mentality. This is Aquarian age for sure. And obviously, as a sales call, they do have another agenda, but it's mutually reciprocal potentially. So the ability to be open-minded rather than super skeptical is about being open and releasing the judgments in order to receive the potential opportunities disguised as something that we may disregard or overlook, or I'm not in the market, click. We don't click anymore, showing my age. So I'm also noticing that this is also with the North Node of our destiny and where we're growing and evolving into, and with it being in Aries, and there's so many factors playing into this ultimate revelation. Pluto at that precipice moving into Aquarius is showing us power and control dynamics that have been at play in our awareness our entire lifetime. We may see ourselves as having struggled against these lessons, or having the need to develop our own voice or authority. But it's definitely in that sense an opportunity for us to really embrace new levels of autonomy, personal authority, especially that higher minded authority, which I want to get into in just a moment, and ultimately leadership. We're here for a reason. We're at the leading, cutting edge of the progression of consciousness in this time and space. And you wouldn't be here if these weren't things you were working on, I would suggest. Even if you think that you are quite humble, this is the awakening process of severing the faulty beliefs or messages or expectations, any type of self-limiting belief or behavior that has led us astray. And I'm hearing that we're all ultimately here walking each other home, which is a beautiful concept. I hope that that helps you in some way. So I'm noticing also that at this time we have Mercury is surpassing Neptune, which Mercury is so fast and Neptune is so slow. Mercury will do a lot of laps. It's like Neptune is the older folks doing their walk around in a circle, and then you have these marathon runners that are, or sprinters that are zipping past. And every once in a while, if you've ever ran, sometimes you drop something out of your pocket. You're like, where did I leave it? You have to go back and you have to look around. It's like by moving too fast through some type of a process, glossing over, using our coping mechanisms, making assumptions, there's something that we need to retreat, retrieve, reintegrate, and then reemerge. And with Neptune, it's not always on that surface level, something that's easily apparent to us. And so the universe sometimes needs to work in these processes of mischievous interactions with us, aggravating us into awareness. So Mercury is not the enemy, of course, just another trickster god trying to help us to not be so serious and to take things more playfully, to enjoy the journey and to show others how that can be done as well. So, as Mercury is surpassing that North Node and Chiron aspect, I'm sensing that there's been this interference pattern, I want to say, that we are overtaking. We're going back, we're reviewing something that has triggered us based on previous, perhaps deep past wounds, could even be from other individuals projected or other lifetimes coming in now. This interference pattern has been, it's like when you have raindrops, you'll see one drop create that ripple effect, but then as different raindrops hit, the various wave patterns begin to expand and hit, and then it creates other ripples, and it also it can cancel the ripple that's coming in. So there's ways that certain individuals, circumstances, etc., have triggered us and stolen our thunder, or have caused us to somehow retreat or reassess different things. But these interference patterns, many of them are coming in to show us to our destiny, that destiny calling. So as we have Mercury right now also, one last thing. So that overtaking of our interference patterns, and even that self-dialogue that interferes with our process, self-sabotage or sabotage from apparent external sources. These are lessons that allow us to upgrade our soul contracts, and in so doing, we no longer have to participate with things that force us to sacrifice unjustly on any level that pertains to your process. So upgrading these soul contracts says, I'm going to release my predisposition or my habit patterns over here that no longer serve. I've learned that. Check it off the list, sign on the dotted line, released from karmic entanglement, and I'm going to redirect these influences and energies to over here to that new emerging self that's well underway. And so, as those patterns have been interfered with and laid to rest, we're released. So, also, lastly, with Mercury, have Mercury surpassing Pluto. We've been talking about the two of them, right? So, Mercury, has already surpassed Pluto and is in that separating sextile, that 60 degree. And so it's supportive, but it takes effort to overcome that Plutonian underworld, the shadow, the darkness, but it's also transformation, self evaluation, and messages and conversations, perhaps with God or your guides, higher self, however you believe. There's a book that was coming into my mind that I apologize, I have not read, but I had a friend who is now crossed over, who that was his favorite book. Thank you, Mark, for bringing that in. So, as this is Pluto is the darkness that is also the shadow of God. And so the darkness is divinity as well. To believe that man-made infrastructure is not in keeping with the Tao is a misrepresentation of the godly energies working through us. Even if it's apparent darkness working through another, the process is ultimately going to assist many in creating greater light, because no one solves a problem that doesn't exist. We solve problems that we witness. So there's something here about the conversations with God was a series of journalings that an individual at a very, very deep, dark part of his journey began to journal and realized in some sense that he was conversing with God. And so there's some automatic writing or journaling or dream journaling or whatever you might do, some type of life notes that you are piecing together on some level that you're able to share or even create your own authority as an author, the author that ties to the I, if that makes sense. And so this is reminding me of the way that we connect and entangle with things based on a belief of ourselves that may be true, may be very aligned, or it may be projected from external sources, socialized, whatever, demands, that has taken us slightly off center, off course. You may be dealing with some severe depression. This is something that is assisting you to release and to ultimately receive. So I hope that you can find the support that you need. The support is out there. Please don't get lost in anything that's intense and debilitating for you. If you are determined to heal yourself, then something such as journaling or a self discovery process of what helps you to transmute energies is really going to help you release that darkness from interior and release it outwardly. In this process, I'm seeing the clock tick-tock, and I want to get into the cards a bit here. Mother of Mercy, number 19, popped out, saying that to be merciful with ourselves and others is a way of release. It's a way of understanding the human dimension, and the other individuals are really simply just trying to do their best on most cases. Even if they're distracted or lost, we don't need to push against that. Their path doesn't need to continue to interfere with us. It's a pattern of interference that we can overcome. So the two cards that popped out, Tai Chi Rising obscured the next one. Tai Chi Rising from the Kuan Yin deck talks, number 32, about the rising activated Kundalini energy, the rising vibrational resonance. And as you rise up, you will inevitably trigger many other individuals. But there's this beautiful chakra unlocking process and this lotus in the cup at the sacral region was reminding me of the pre-shuffles here. I was getting third eye, which is a purple color, and sacral chakra, which is an orange color, with the miracle card, which is orange and purple. So it's like this illumination of self-worth, realization process, becoming our inner truth, and also that creative process. The sense of belonging and connectivity is important here. As your energy rises, not everyone and everything may go with us, and this can create its own sense of grief and abandonment, rejection, or fill in the blank types of responses. But to be merciful with ourselves and others is to recognize that it's okay if we're growing apart in some type of regard. We'll be growing together with other aspects soon. And I apologize if this is a triggering depiction. It's just a drawing. The Kali card that was obscured is number 20, that judgment number from the tarot. I don't know if this is Chinamasta, I don't know. It's not my language. Forgive me. But there's it's the sacred severance of ways of being, of self interfering with our highest calling. So that conversations with God is like destiny is calling. Do you pick up the phone? It was reminding me of that Pink Floyd song where is it Money, where at the end the operator is hello, it's such and such calling. Do you receive the charges? And it keeps hanging. I'm sorry, sir. They keep hanging up. Is there someone else there besides your wife that's trying to answer? I don't know why. But there's something there about that there's some type of process that's needing to be cut away. So it's like, is somebody else picking up our phone call from destiny? Are we disregarding our own opportunities and giving them on a platter to others? Are we serving others and sacrificing our own destiny unjustly? There's something about that, and I'd like to read that card in a moment, but I was shuffling, one laid on the deck, the mixed shamanic deck, and look at these two. The sacrifice came out with some other things earlier too, but the giveaway and the sacrifice, look at the mirror image here. It's like this passing off. And there's so much that can be said about these cards. The 44 is the sacred, the word master number. Good Lord. The 44 is the master number, symbolizing angelic and higher guidance and protection. And 23 and 32 are on the deck here. And that's reminding me of the code cards, which we haven't even put out yet. But I would notice that the 49 card, when I picked those up to show, stayed on the table. Skywriting the fates. There's something here that is destined, fated, and I'd love to get into the archetypal cards as well, but I'm going to run out of time. I might do a secondary extended. Remembrance stays on the deck. That came out quite a bit in the pre-shuffle, and below that, passion. Remembering our divine passion is like the divine sacred self. And I still want to read that card. There's so much coming through. Third eye, integration, integrating your intuitive messages. In the archetypal deck, I was getting the chosen one. With so many other ones. Yeah, I'm definitely going to want to extend this. Change in the sacral chakra region, absolutely. A change of value, a change of perspective, and that discontinuing of the feelings of guilt or shame to allow your passions to move you. I love that. All right. Let's see if anything wants to come out here. 30 minutes. I only get 33 minutes and like 32 seconds. This old phone. If anybody has some insights into better equipment, I would love to level up. All right, Divine Masculine is on the bottom of the deck here, revealing Merkaba and communication. There we go. So this expansion of communication is perhaps reminding us of who we are as spirit, soul, in body. And it will require some level of sacrifice and releasing of some type of comfort behavior, coping mechanism, something that no longer belongs to you. The healer on the bottom of the deck, you don't say. Oh, and Merkaba is the 32 card here, which comes out. So yeah, Tai Chi rising and expanding. Excellent. There we go. Under the deck, this came in the pre-shuffle too, Apocalypsis, a divine ending that shows itself as a point that we are finally putting a final period at the end of the book, at the end of the chapter, the end of the lesson. It has been handled. The cards popping out are 37, the desert. It's like a prayer sinking in quicksand, but quicksand isn't in a desert. Or are we pushing upward through the soil like a plant, rebirthing under this perhaps semi-eclipsed moon energy? It's like we've been in a stagnant period, dry like the desert, and it's coming full circle. Oh, but then the river. So the river is washing over the desert and providing some ability to reflect, flow, and heal. The lover, I love that one. Very beautiful. The comic, our ability to invert it here, to stop being sarcastic and fearful and self-flatulating. Is that the right word? And to allow ourselves to be more playful and humorous without being hard on ourselves in that way. The sustainer and the mask. So the way that we perpetuate our value or speak to our value is in our hands. It starts inside. It starts with self-nurturance, the ability to step away from the desert and step into the river. It can be a risk because we don't know how swift that water is going to move, and is it going to bring us into encountering our success or failure. It's risky, but it washes away what doesn't belong. In the last few seconds, sacred severance is her radical grace. She's our soul's power to shed and survive and outgrow and evolve when the soul needs to separate itself from that which